Alright, so today we're going over a really simple prompt, specifically if you're trying to create a sales page for your digital product. So this assumes that you already have a digital product, but you haven't yet created your sales page for it. So this prompt is extremely beginner friendly and pretty much ready to use. All you have to do is copy it, and you can get it from the description of the video or the pinned comment. Once you have it copied, you can go ahead and click paste into ChatGPT, and it's pretty much ready to go. As you see here, it states, "You are my sales page strategist. Your job is to turn any product, service, digital product, freebie, coaching offer, template, course, or creative offer into a clear sales page that explains what it is, who it is for, why it matters, and what the buyer gets, and why they should take action." And there's more to the prompt which you can go over yourself if you like, but as I said, it's ready to use. You can simply hit enter after pasting this prompt in, and it's going to start the next phase, which is the intake phase of the prompt. At this point, you're going to have to answer a series of questions relating to your digital product or service or whatever it is that you're trying to sell and create a product page for. So the whole purpose here is just to get a better understanding of what it is you're doing and what your goals are. So as you see here, the first intake question is, what are you selling? I'm going to answer these series of intake questions with a fake product just to give you guys the gist of the way it works. But take note, with these intake questions, it's best to answer as descriptively and honestly as possible. And because I'm using a fake product here, my questions will be pretty general. So learn from that and try your best to answer as descriptively and honestly and in much more detail than I do. That way you can get more from the prompt to begin with. So as you see here, this is the first intake question. What are you selling? I'm going to come up with my own version here. So I'm going to say an anxiety recovery guide, let's say. Just staying in theme with everything that we've been doing in recent videos. We'll do that. And what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and answer these series of intake questions real quickly, and then we're going to go over them one by one super fast. That way I'm not waiting for each of it to load. So I will be right back. All right, so I went ahead and answered these series of intake questions, and we'll just go over them super quickly. So as we've seen here, it asks what service or product type, format, price, and exactly what the buyer gets is what they're asking initially. For what are we selling? I said the anxiety recovery guide. It then asks us who is the exact buyer. I said anxiety sufferers looking to recover. So they're asking here to describe the situation, problem, skill level, and goal. See, that's what I'm saying, how I'm going to be pretty general. You would want to actually answer each of these things, the situation, the exact problem, the skill level, and all of that, just to make sure you get, a better result from the prompt. Next intake question basically asks, what problem does this offer help solve? I said the guide helps them understand recovery and how to begin it. Next, it asks us, what realistic result, outcome, or improvement does this guide help with? And then I just basically copied what it says. So basically it helps them understand what keeps anxiety going and gives them practical steps to start responding differently. Then it asks, what is included in this guide? So whatever your product is, it's going to ask you these types of questions, like what is included in this product? And it's going to want to know the details. So for instance, here, it asks us to list the deliverables, sections, worksheets, etc. I just said the entire framework. I'm being incredibly general. Next, it says what is not included, and it gives us a list of things. For instance, should not expect one-on-one support, therapy, medical advice. I just said all of the above. What proof or credibility do you have? For instance, your personal recovery experience, screenshots, etc. I just said personal recovery experience and screenshots. Then it asks what objections or doubts might stop someone from buying. I said not sure, and you can do this for some of them as well. You could say not sure, and it'll just fill in off of the assumptions that it already has. Next, it says, where will this sales page be used? I went around and went with Gumroad, because that is the typical page a lot of people use. And then finally, it asks, what tone do you want? And I just went ahead and said calm and friendly, but you can choose whichever of these you feel is appropriate for your niche. Then it actually goes ahead and starts to create what we wanted it to create. We see here, it gives us the phase 2 offer clarity audit. It goes over everything, including what is the offer, what the offer is in plain English, who's it for, why the buyer would care, what is all of this stuff, just basically understanding what we're doing. And then finally, it actually gives us a sales page structure. So the hero section, purpose, make the offer clear within 5 seconds, what to say, and it gives us exactly what we should include. The problem section, a solution section, what you get section, who's it for section, who's it not for section, proof or credibility, preview or sample, FAQ, price and value section, and then finally a final CTA section for other products or just to basically get you to purchase it. Then you get 10 headline options and all of that other stuff that comes with this. So as you can see here, basically if you wanted to, in this case, because we've already given it enough information, we can literally just copy this and almost use this entire thing as a guide. As you see here, it creates the sections one by one, but it breaks it down in a way that we can basically snip it out, for instance, just right here, and then utilize this if we like. Let's scroll all the way down. As you can see, it's a very in-depth prompt. Then we see here the short sales page version. It creates us a shorter version if we prefer it to be a little bit more concise. Then it gives you the objection handling, because there may or may not be objections depending on how people approach the product. And it just tells you, for instance, like if there's a price objection, a trust objection, fit, skill level, etc. It doesn't make a difference. It'll give us a way to rebuttal and hopefully include this into the FAQ so we can address these types of concerns ahead of time. Then we see the phase 8 final checklist, and then the final action plan. It basically tells us how we should create it in terms of a headline, a calm, practical guide to understanding anxiety recovery, the best CTA, our first section to improve what you get and include all of these things, biggest trust issue, biggest clarity issue, and then goes on and on and on. So then you can basically go ahead and ask it at this point, please make me a copy pastable version for my Gumroad. And at that point, it'll actually just create it based on the stuff that we provided. However, like I said, at this point, I didn't give it that much details to work with. It doesn't know what's actually included, but it has enough to, base it off the assumptions it already has to create us one. And that's the last stage of what you'd have to actually input. After this, you're pretty much good to go, and you have your sales page created. As we see here, it gives us the whole breakdown, what the guide helps with, goes over all this, what you get, who's it for, and all of the stuff that we basically discussed, but you can literally copy paste and plug right in to your Gumroad sales page. However, take note, I would highly recommend that you change the wording a little bit. Maybe use something like Grammarly, like as we see here, it's actually asking us to review it. You can use Grammarly or make adjustments yourself just to make it sound a little bit more natural, because even with this, ChatGPT can sound a little bit too AI-like, and people can sniff that out nowadays, especially if you're using a digital product like this or a digital sales page like this and you're going to utilize this prompt. I highly recommend you editing it a little bit in your tone just to make it sound more natural. That way you can convert better. So it's that simple. At that point, you have your full sales page. Once again, if you guys want to steal the prompt to create your sales page, you simply got to get it from the description of the video or the pinned comment. You simply copy it, hit paste into ChatGPT, answer the series of intake questions as descriptively and honestly as possible with as much detail as possible, ideally more than what I did. And at that point, you're pretty much good to go. You just tell it after filling out all the questions, it'll give you the breakdown, and you simply just tell it to please give me a copy pastable version for my Gumroad or whatever platform you're using, and then you'll have it ready to go. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and have a nice day.